that they're so long waiting on a waiting list because of the crisis in the housing, that they're feeling like they'll kill themselves, and then their family might get on the housing list quicker.
Anybody else comment on that? Waiting decision.
Yeah, I definitely think it matters in the sense of that the message that is out there at the moment is ask for help, reach out, ask for help. And being in that experience in the past myself, when you're being told to keep hopeful and reach out for help, and then you reach out and you're told, well, you'll be seen in 12 to 18 months. It's a very long time to ask people to keep the hope. And I think that is more of a reason why we need to learn more strategies for minding our well-being at home and building our resilience.
I might just add, I completely agree. I think our mental health services are a nightmare. I'm being absolutely straight. I think they're the people working in it are absolutely doing their best, but they're badly resourced, very underfunded, very understaffed, and very disparate around the country. But I will make one very practical point, that if we're going to wait for psychologists and experts to sort our problems out individually and as a community, we're going to be in trouble. So we have to start thinking more as a community, and what can we do as a community, do you know what I mean? And I think that's the future, really. It's going to take 25 years to resolve our current health service. There'll be a lot of dead people in that time. So I think we as communities and individuals need to step up to the plate, I think, and learn resilience skills.
Thank you. Could I say that Mika maybe would answer this question, because I think it was a very kind of strong theme in your presentation. Is somebody, and maybe the question was asked before your presentation, so how do you start a conversation with someone that you think is suffering? That first start. And I know the message is just ask, and maybe people here are confident enough about that now. But
I think you made also a very nice point in your presentation, that you have to establish a connection with somebody. So there has to be at least a little bit of a building ground that you can actually feel that you can pose the question, because it is a very personal and a very direct question. And if there's a shimmer of hope, ask it, and then sit back, judge not, open up, and let somebody tell. And if somebody stops telling, you can ask them, oh wow, you must have, the despair must have been so great, tell me a little bit more about that. So that's basically it. So if you're in doubt whether you can, try it. That's what I would say. Be bold, because this is a bold kind of, it asks for bold solutions in that sense. But of course, if somebody is sitting like this, yeah, what do you really think? It's going to open up.
And another question about asking. Somebody here in the audience asked, how do we ask somebody to put away their mobile phone? I think this is the sense of that person who never, ever, ever takes it out of their hand. So how do you engage with somebody who's permanently engaged to something else? And I'm not sure whether anybody has a comment about that. I don't know if Harry has.
I think, example is a great thing. So sometimes people will follow what I do much more than what I say. So if, for example, I'm in the house and I'm clearly, as a parent, making it clear, I'm putting away my phone, I'm having like certain rules, phone-free meals, I feel really strong. Meals are a wonderful time for things to come up and discuss and all that. Just phones, make those kind of rules in your house, but do it yourself. Put your own phone away. Do what you want them to do. Practice what you
model it. Anybody else on the challenge of phones?
I suppose in my workshop I was talking about my experience working in Jigsaw, working with young people between 12 and 25. And what I've noticed is a lot of young people would tell me that the parents have a rule that they're not allowed to bring phones to bed. I say, never tell my parents, but it's the best rule that was ever introduced. So young people themselves are saying it's causing them a lot less stress. And young people like the boundaries, so being really, knowing what the expectations are is so important as well.
Okay, so
Turn the internet off.
Sure, yeah, okay, and don't be afraid of asking or telling.
And I saw in Ad and Sky that they have, you can pause the internet now, and the ad is pausing the internet during meal times.
Yeah, grand. Okay, good, thank you. Can I just, anybody else, strategies to improve personal mood? If you're really feeling bad, what helps?
Yoga helps.
I think actually the biggest one of all is exercise. You know, it's the cheapest, simplest, and if we could build into our society 30 minutes of exercise a day for all of us, you know, and if we can't do it in 30 minutes, we'll try and do even maybe 5 to 10 minutes of high intensity kind of exercise. Wonderful for mood, you know what I mean? A very simple, practical thing.
Exercise? Yoga?
Amen. No, exercise, definitely.
Okay.
I think implementing any time, any strategy that's going to improve. So like the 5 that we did today in the wellbeing and the 5 ways to wellbeing. Like that, starting where you are and small baby steps at a time. Like if you've been lined up for 6 months, don't go out and try to run a 10k tomorrow. You're setting up an unrealistic expectation and you're going to let yourself down. So small steps in any of those areas.
Great. Yeah. Keep going.
I suppose the idea that self-awareness and different things work for different people and having a list of those things that you know you can go to. So whether that's calling a best friend, whether that's listening to your favourite music, and having that kind of checklist yourself and self-awareness that I know this will help if.
I think it's also asking people what they want or what they think is going to help them, and then putting things in place for them that they can do that.
Okay. You didn't.
Well, I suppose,
Some sense for yourself.
yeah, well, even just avoiding alcohol and drugs when you're feeling like that, because it'll only make you feel worse.
Can I add one thing? We have an app which is called the Backup app, which is basically a safety plan in your phone. And then when somebody's feeling all right, you go through it with them to list what kind of things makes them feel better and what builds their resilience. And what I wanted to add was cute furry animal films. Because it really, it's been, we had the visitor from America who was from the American helpline, and they had a waiting list in their chat room where people could sit and watch cute cat videos. And it was the most popular section. People sometimes didn't even want to get out of it and get into the chat because they thought like, no, I'm feeling much better now. And when the board of the foundation heard about it, they thought, oh, it can't be. This is not scientifically, this is not appropriate. So they took it off. They really did. But it definitely helps.
One final thing, I cannot emphasize enough about sleep. I just think it's the hidden monster, really. Like, most of our kids are so sleep deprived. So really we should encourage good sleep hygiene in our house in general and in our lives personally. Don't again do what, or ask them to do what you do.
And a question for you, Harry, while you have it. What practical tip would you recommend for dealing with anxiety that's been brought on by racism or hate crimes? So as we are absolutely not averse to these issues in our own community.
Yeah, absolutely. I think really the first thing to say is if I've been living in that kind of environment, I won't be just anxious. I'm going to be very hurt. I'm going to feel quite down. Do you know what I mean? So you may need to kind of look nearly wider than that. But I would say to you, look, unconditional self-acceptance is probably the real secret. Because if I can learn to be comfortable with myself, to a certain extent I can let a lot of this go over my head. Do you know what I mean? But if I engage with it and I believe that it's true, if they tell me big, terrible things about myself and I start to believe those things, well then I become unwell. If I begin to say, look, if they want to assess my colour, if they want to assess other things, they are quite entitled to do so, but I don't have to accept their assessments of me. Do you know what I mean? Yep.
Doreen.
From a traveller point of view, you're born into that discrimination. So it's all right having self-acceptance, but then when you're facing it every day of your life, you can't have that much acceptance of yourself, you know what I mean? Because within employment, education, all the barriers that travellers face. So I think we need to be looking at how we're going to get strategies to overcome that. Structural strategies, yeah.
And do you have any sense or learning from all your work today, Doreen, about what might work?
Inclusiveness is huge, and breaking down the barriers.
And that's for others to give to you, not for you
no,
to
for
have.
us, for everybody to work together.
Okay.
And like, if somebody knocks at your door, it doesn't matter what colour or what your ethnicity is, it shouldn't matter. It should be the person you're seeing, not the ethnicity or the culture.
Okay. Anybody else comment on that issue?
I just think education is key there in terms of people understanding different cultures and different ethnicities in this country, because we are a multicultural society now, and I think that it is, sometimes people don't understand other people's cultures, but they don't take the time to understand it as well. Like if you look at children in primary school, they all play together regardless of religion or colour or anything like that, so it's been bred in people as they've grown older or some of their experiences, so I think education is a big key in terms of that.
Thank you. Slightly different question, but maybe you might take this one. How do you educate, what advice would you give to parents to help their children become more resilient?
I suppose I could talk for a long time on it. Yeah. I suppose the single piece of advice I'm thinking of, I suppose, is giving young people opportunities to succeed and opportunities to fail as well. And that notion of helicopter parenting or lawnmower parenting, or always floating above, making sure taking every obstacle out of the way. And I suppose as a learning tool, the best way I believe to learn resilience is through lived experience, and kind of really encouraging opportunities to do so.
Anybody else want to comment?
Yeah, I would also say give them the opportunity to figure it out. Don't always mask the problem or pretend it's not happening. Voice the concerns or the issues that are going on in front of children, and allow them the opportunity to be part of the conversation and part of the resolution, rather than us always coming in as parents and saying this is what's happening and this is how we're going to fix it. Allowing them to be part of the conversation as well.
Thanks. And Harry?
Yeah, I think this is a very, very important question. A few practical steps. Teach them lifestyle skills. Every kid should be able to know what a washing machine is, know what an iron is, know what a cooker is, and they should be actually taught those skills from very early on, and they should be part of the household. They should be given these jobs from very, very early on. Secondly, they need to learn the skill of problem solving. The biggest single absent skill in young people is problem solving. And the reason for that is because we solve their problems. So we need to start saying, if they come to you and say, what should I do with this? The answer should be back, what do you think we should do about this? And as you get them to problem, when I'm working with young people, I hand them back their questions to themselves and get them to problem solve them in groups, because that's the best way to do it. A third little point is listen. Listen, and that's not just hearing, that's actually listen. Listen carefully, what are they actually saying? What actually are they bothered about? Don't give them too many things. And two final things, and I'll stop here. We have to teach young people how to fail. That it's okay to fail, that it's normal to fail, and we all fail. And let them see you fail. Let them see you get anxious, by the way. This drives me insane, the number of people who come to me and say, well, the one thing I won't do is let my child see that I get anxious. Well, how in God's name is a child supposed to learn how to deal with their anxiety if you're not honest enough to say, I get anxious too, and this is what I do, and I struggle. Let them see that life is difficult. Let them see that life is full of problems and difficulties and financial worries and concerns and pain and suffering, because that's life. It's like as we want to put them in a cloak, and then we throw them out into the big world and we say, cope. So resilience is all about teaching them all those skills.
Thanks, Harry. And another relationship question. How do you educate your partner on the supports that you need with your mental health needs? And this, it seems to me, is about communications and about relationships, but any comments or observations about what might be useful?
Yeah, clear communication is useful. I've just been in this issue and made all the mistakes where I was dropping hints and then blaming him for not picking up on the hint. And it just caused more problems, and it actually caused me more mental health issues then in the end. Being able to just voice clearly, I am actually about to have a panic attack and I really don't need you to tell me to relax right now, because you telling me to relax is not going to help me to relax. Never in the history of telling people to relax did anybody relax. But what would really help is if you went and got me a glass of water, if you held my hand and reminded me that I'm here, brought me back to my senses, and sometimes it's when I say go away, I really need you to leave me alone. It's not because I don't love you, it's not because you're not being helpful, I just need to be on my own right now. Just clear communication, figuring out what works for you and voicing it clearly to the other person. You can't blame them for what they don't know.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah?
Yeah, I think just to include them, if you're engaged in any kind of supports, that you include them in that process, but you also encourage them to engage in their own supports as well, because it can be very difficult for anyone in a relationship with someone who's suffering some sort of trauma or mental health or any other issue as well.
And a final question from the ones we got from the question box earlier on. Considering those that have been affected by suicide, how can we assist them to deal with the trauma? So any observations on that matter?
This is a personal interest of mine, do you know what I mean? I did some work really with some parents who'd lost their sons from suicide. And it was a wonderful experience because they taught me an awful lot. And the grief that comes with suicide is completely different. You know, it's still grief, but there are parts to it. For example, there are emotions involved that we never discussed, like shame. There are difficulties in communication, like they don't know what to say to other people, and they want other people to treat them as normal. They don't want to talk about the suicide all the time, you know, and yet everybody is there all the time unsure what to. Another key thing is that we need to kind of get away from this idea that there is a time-limited grief process, that it will be 25 years later and I still will be crying at Christmas time when I think of it, you know what I mean? So there's that deep... so I think maybe trying to understand the depth and degree of pain this person is in, you know, but really very importantly, to try and share that with them, to help them with them, maybe just to be with them, do you know what I mean? You can't carry their pain, but you can be with them, support them, help them, and I think that's really the secret.
Okay. Any other commentary? Response? Yeah. Thank you.
I suppose just in addition to that message of seeking support and having a listening ear, and that serves like to play the house, have a specific helpline and service for people who are bereaved by suicide. So it's being aware of what services are out there and finding maybe other people and kind of peer support groups and the importance of that as well.